suggested.
Yeah. And it feels so good. And it feels so right. Yeah. And it feels so good. And it feels so right. Cause motherfucker, I'm good.
Bass! MC Shawn Love. And it's Hip Hop Vinyl Reviews episode 8. What are we going to build about today? Yeah, man. I picked up this piece, produced by Madlib, who we all know. Especially, if you're not familiar with Madlib, you're familiar with Jay Dilla, who did a lot of work with Stone's Throw. And I'd be honest with you, man, I never fucking heard of Freddie Gibbs when I picked this up, but they've been rotating this heavy in the record stores I go to for the last couple of years, and I finally broke down because, Madlib is the Don, man. I mean, the guy's a king with samples. You can't front on him. I know a lot of samples, I know a lot of records, and I'm telling you, man, whenever I listen to something produced by Madlib, I can't guess half or the majority of that shit is all brand new to my ears, and I love that, because when I buy a piece of music, I want to be surprised by stuff, man. I don't want to feel like I could have looped this shit up, 2/3 of the way through in the song Lakers, he's repping the West Coast hard, and I'm like, I fucking like a West Coast rapper, and it's not Exhibit. And, it's not somebody from the far side. Holy shit, this guy's got it. He disses the shit out of Young Jeezy on here, which, and I don't really know what the whole, beef between them is. I don't care about any of that kind of stuff. I just want good music. I mean, Jeezy's never been my cup of tea. I've heard him collaborate with artists like Jay-Z and sound almost silly, held up in comparison on their verses to one another. You guys might like that shit. I don't like it, and, on here, Freddie Gibbs obviously has some kind of personal problem with him. It just tears him a new asshole on the song Real. The production on this album is smooth as hell throughout. I mean, it's got that warm, interesting, soulful feeling that you get from like a later era Gangstar album like Moment of Truth, or the second J. Rue album, with the Primo beats. It's got something that you can pop back on the turntable and play again and again and again. The shit is raw as hell. Top to bottom, I fucking love everything about this, man. Interesting samples. Even the samples that Madlib reuses, like the Frida Payne sample of I Get High on Your Memory that was used by Styles P on the Good Times record back in like 2002 or something. Even that is done in an interesting way over, it just as like a backdrop for a beat that sounds nothing like it. It's a throw-in. He knows he's reusing a popular sample, but he gets it off, And this guy, Freddie Gibbs, I gotta be honest, I haven't been checking for him. I heard his name bat around a lot, and I finally decided he's on a release after this. This came out in 2014. He's done another album since then, and apparently he did a few things before this as well. I wasn't checking for him, man, but I'm glad I did. I'm not sure if it sounds so great in the context of being collaborated with Madlib's beats, and that's why I like it, or if I would like him on the backdrop of other more traditional West Coast beats, I might not. But with this, it just sounds like an ironic but combination that works. He's got a Raekwon the Chef appearance, which, Raekwon makes the grade. It's a good verse. Everything Raekwon spits is dope, but, it's not exactly a Purple Tape verse, or even on the Purple Tape 2, when he was reaching in his back pocket for his best shit. I didn't get that vibe here, but, it was good. It went with the song. Scarface drops an insightful, dope verse on here. He's on his A game. And, there's a lot of newcomers, especially in the song Piñata, which the album closes on this D side, and that's the title track of for the album Piñata. And, the whole thing with that is, it's just I think 7 MCs, and they're all going one after the other. Not every single one of them is the best MC I've ever heard lyrically or on delivery, but they all sound so different from one another that it stays interesting throughout. And everybody's playing, everybody's there to play. There's no whack MCs on the record at all. The dude, Freddie Gibbs, is really spectacular in one particular way. He comes off a little bit like an everyman, kind of like Devin the Dude. When you're listening to the first Devin the Dude album, it kind of sounds like, oh, this is a guy I can relate to, man. He likes to drink a little, relax, smoke weed. He talks about bitches. Not in a real overly disrespectful way, but he's just like a guy's guy. And the fact that he's talented and he's spitting these things about his life, he's relatable. And Freddie Gibbs has that same relatable vibe about him that Devin the Dude has. Not as much humor, but definitely a likable rapper with a relatable personality and a flow that's interesting, because he throws in them quick fast bars at the beginning of every once in a while. At the beginning of his barbs, he pulls a Fushnikin out of his back pocket and throws it on there. He's got a voice that sounds a little bit like Exhibit, and the shit that he says is clever and funny. You can tell he's not rapping because he's trying to sell a platinum record. It's the reason why the damn thing is in stock at the record store I go to. You can't buy a Justin Bieber 12-inch album at most decent record stores. And so when you walk in, you already can, at least to a certain degree, trust that these things have been evaluated and there's a certain level of taste that's been applied to what's on sale, for the most part. On songs like Shitsville, Gibbs starts talking about how, crack was Black America's cup of coffee. And then he goes back to, we've heard this before, but he says it in an interesting way about how the fact that, there really aren't blacks from the city that are boating in this stuff. You know what I mean? That are, this stuff is coming from another place and it's being stamped with a government seal of approval, even if it's in an indirect way. And he brings that out in a creative and interesting way when he talks about drug problems and how race relates to it. There's other stuff that humanizes Freddie Gibbs on this too, like he's got a track Herald's where he's talking about a chicken spot. And, just the way he relates to his listeners is not somebody that's all high and mighty and judging everybody. If anything, he seems like he's judging himself. He sounds like he's got a conscience. It sounds like he's done a few things during his life that he's not proud of. And throughout the record, he revisits it several times. And one of the songs, I believe it was called Deeper, he's talking about a relationship with a woman where the woman found somebody else and now she's pregnant. And there's a whole lot of other parts and facets to that song I won't get into. On one of the lines, he's saying, maybe you matured and I'm just acting like I'm still 16. And a lot of us men, during the course of our life, a lot of us slip back into those juvenile habits, man, and, or at least mindsets, and we're all guilty of that, and he's not afraid to talk about it. A lot of these beats are heavy on keys, heavy on strings, and they sound real smooth, almost romantic, and the flows are funky and soulful, and it's not something that necessarily begs, the listener to hey, I'm going to do some real gangster shit over this, and this thug, and he's talking about this X, Y, and Z, and then, in the track, I'm thugging, and it feels so good, and it feels so right. And it's just, we can all relate to that shit, that hip-hop attitude, that, fuck the world in your car, you know what I mean? He says I'm gonna sag till I'm 40. It's kind of scary for me because I'm real close. He's got a line on there, he says, I'm living on borrowed time, my expiration date, I passed it, so lock me up forever, but this shit is everlasting. And, we all want to feel immortal. It's got me wanting to risk another $20 and picking up the follow-up Freddie Gibbs LP, which I gotta find out more about. I can't express to you guys more that opening up these packages, taking a look at the images, having it in front of you while you're listening to it. If you're just downloading this shit on the internet, man, it's not the same. It's not the same. And if you don't really have to pay for it, that's just a whole nother big minus. Go out and buy some fucking vinyl. Maybe you want to start with this Freddie Gibbs and Madlib project, and after that, man, dig a little bit deeper. Just received a 36 Chambers LP in the mail. It's not really an unusual release or anything I would normally choose out of all these new selections that I want to show you guys. But I'm going to review it because somebody sent it to me, and that is my promise. If you send me an email at lovblog@gmail.com, send me out a package, whatever vinyl it is you want me to check out, I will. And if it's something you did personally or one of your friends, I'm not going to be brutally honest if I don't like it. But I am going to listen to it and try to point out what I do like about it. If you notice, with the exception of that Kendrick Lamar review that I did a week back, everything's been pretty positive. And that's the reason I'm doing this, is not to tear anybody down. Just to inspire you guys to go out and actually check out some vinyl records. Go to a fucking record store. Keep the tradition that hip-hop was founded on alive. And also maybe discover some new music that way, like I did with this. This is going to be something that stays not only on rotation for me, but in my library the same way a classic hip-hop record would. Strongly recommend it. Peace, y'all.